So today is 27 days, actually, since my first seizure, my adventure. And today I wanted to discuss my feelings, the differences that I've had considerable regarding sleep. So, a little fill in. I have not had any fear that I can establish. There are certain waves that I kind of feel sometimes when I can understand that something is hitting me in a way that I'm needing to sit and be more clear with it and soothe it. But exponentially, there's been so much heightened connection with, I call spirituality, with non-physical source, such strong guidance that I might have slept maybe a couple hours. This is like from the time that I had my seizure. Hello. And I'd feel the impulse to go to a place where I could sit and just look around and kind of feel what I'm feeling. And I was doing a lot of journaling, and I would start doing voice records for some friends that I knew would appreciate what I was talking about. So all that information, I'd feel that way. There was never a feeling of like, I gotta sleep. Oh my God, how am I gonna heal? There was none of that. There might have been one brief, kind of more clarifying moment. I'll get to that. And then I'd go back to sleep for maybe a couple hours. So comprised of maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. At some point, recognizing I'm not really feeling depleted. There's a lot of just joy, more learning, more understanding. And so I looked up, how many hours do Buddhist monks sleep? And they're really like 4 or 5. They're so plugged in themselves. I use that just as an analogy or reference. I'm not a Buddhist, but I think being absent of certain discomforts really make your sleep that much more wholesome. Okay, backstory. Sleep has been a huge issue. And the more that I've discovered this, its genesis is definitely as a young child, probably a baby. All the supports that have happened prior to me having this is becoming more evident. So different teachings that I embrace, different courses. I'll tease it out a little bit more. Maybe I'll put it in some funky place about hashtagging. I don't know about. I don't even know how to do this video because I know that I'm not looking at the right spot. I don't really care. So, yes, there has been a very familiar, long-standing feeling of like, if I don't get enough sleep happening, I will not be the needed person to perform accurately, cleverly, smartly during the day. So there is that such heavy pressure. I remember thinking that as a young child, that, oh my God, I'm going to be grumpy and people will not, da-da-da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. At work, certainly after menopause, when hormones go a little crazy, I needed to have what is called Zopiclone to help me reach those early mornings, giving me that assurance that, okay, I've got this on board, this will help me. Anyways, there was this impulse to further regard this softening of wanting to sleep, let it go. So there was something that I wanted to release. I did start what is called Cognitive Behaviour Therapy with a wonderful social worker in Owen Sound, Carrie Shute. And in our initial meetings, we got to know each other. And during this time, I actually had a lot of nursing, dream, discomfort things that came up, new grad stuff. And I started to tell Carrie during one of our sessions about the feeling of my first placement at Sick Kids was on the burns and plastics floor. And I ended up looking after babies, 3 months old, 18 years old. It was 81, where we had to do salt baths and then debridement, certain torture. And at that point, they were afraid of contributing to a drug addiction for individuals, young kids, so we did not adequately give them pain medication. Oh my God, maybe Tylenol. Yeah, and retelling this, it's still hard. So I was telling Carrie this story, and I have mentioned it before. I was uncomfortable, and I was doing my job. And I became familiar at some point in my 20s about this U.S. study that had been done to explore, perhaps, it was in I'm thinking the late 60s, where they were looking at, perhaps, this is how I recall it, how were the Germans so easily manipulated during the war to do these atrocities? So here's the U.S. study. They had a subject in an isolated room behind a glass where the researchers watched. They hooked up to wires. With the researcher, there was also another subject, a volunteer or someone that was asked, like, I'm in charge here. I'm going to tell you to dial up these shocks that you'll see them receiving. Nothing is long-standing. You'll see them maybe have some pain. Again, nothing long-standing. I'm in charge. And these individuals would observe, and you could see that they were very uncomfortable with it, the way that it was explained. But they'd look at the leader, and the leader would say, no, I want you to do it the next level. I'm in charge. Just do it. Very, very few of these individuals stopped. I'm thinking 2% of the actual individuals engaged in the dial, absolutely said, no way, I am not doing that. And then the rest of us were just like, okay, I'll do. That's my job. All right, you're in charge. I'm not taking this. All right. As a new grad, doing what I did with those youngins. And telling the story with Carrie was the first time that I started to really cry. And like, why the heck was I not that 2%? Okay. She did the beautiful heart, sit with this. You are the wiser, compassionate nurse now that absolutely would support her new grads, her new nurses, to have some softening around that, right? I tried to do that. I tried to go back and soften that with the new grad. And I was familiar at the time of doing meditation and trying to be present, that I was like, I am so having a hard time being present with that new grad, Sheilah. That was eye-opening. I thanked Carrie. I went and spoke with my good friend Heather Drummond about this particular thing. We talked about it. She helped me kind of reiterate this, tease it out. And what came out of it beautifully was that there was this understanding that those 2%ers that said, absolutely not, how is it? They must have had previous experience of being put in a situation like that, where they're like, no way am I doing that. And I looked at my new grad going, oh, you did a lot of learning. You did a lot of soothing. You did. Look at how far you took me. You're learning. You're a sweet woman. I really care for you. And there was a lot of soothing with this. So that's one piece. I'll come back to it. There's more to add. We're on our way to Princess Margaret.